Ah, it's Friday again. Hello, everybody, and welcome to that album. Good afternoon, Andrew. Normally, my buddy Eric Doyle would be here. As you know, the show started with the two of us texting back and forth in the evening as if we were in a bar arguing about great music. Normally, it'd be Eric joining us. Eric can't make it today, but I have got a special guest.
You know you should, so I guess you might as well. What's the story, morning glory? Well, we need a little time to wake up. Well,
You all right, mate?
Oh, mate, that is priceless. Absolutely priceless.
I've got my hands behind my back. I've got my sideburns forward like Colin Ballantyne. I'm ready, mate. I'm ready.
Who has just laughed at that very comment?
Yeah. Can I take this off now? I am ringing. I don't have to do the whole show. Hold on. Oh, that's like Come on, Loch Lomond. Let's be having you. Right, I'm taking it off. I'm taking it off. Have you missed it? Yes. Oh, dear, says Barry Kilo. Oh, dear. Right enough, mate. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, my word.
My word.
So, what can you say? So, for those of you who are new to the show, every week we review an album from scratch, perhaps an album that we know or think we know, perhaps an album that we don't know or we remember from years ago. And last week we did Muse, and I loved it, absolutely loved it. Eric,
it's a bit of a revelation for you, wasn't it?
It was an absolute aha moment for me. We did Muse, and at the end of it, I surprised everybody by suggesting that we do this album. What's the Story, Morning Glory by Oasis?
Because for about a year, you've been whenever you've been saying
bleating on
about disparaging comments about it's Sarah. Oh my God, she's upstairs. Yeah, exactly. You've been very disparaging about this band. It's clear that you've never liked them, and you suggested this.
I did because, actually, people change, things change, and everybody takes the mickey out of me for hating this band. So I thought, do you know what? In the same way that we've played albums and we've thought, this is not as good as I thought it was going to be, and we've played albums and thought, wow, this is amazing. I thought we should do this, and maybe I would give it a fair crack of the whip. But let's wind back.
Wind back.
1995. 1995. Loads of interesting things happened.
Yeah.
Eric Cantona and the Kung Fu Kick on the Terraces.
Oh yeah.
Damon Hill was banned after admitting that he was driving 165 miles an hour on the M40. Bearings Bank collapsed. Frank Bruno won the WBC heavyweight title.
Wow.
Galileo arrived at Jupiter. There was the Kobe earthquake. Very sad. Ebola was identified. O.J. Simpson was found innocent. And closer to home for you, in Scotland, the Skye Bridge opened.
Yes.
Rob Roy was released, starring Liam Neeson.
Yeah.
Braveheart was also released. The Arran Distillery opened. And the epitome of Scottish style, the deep fried Mars bar was invented. But
you are welcome, world.
yes. But, despite all of these different things pulling in different there was one battle that was playing out that was far bigger than anything, possibly since World War II, which was the battle between Oasis and Blur.
Yeah.
And I must be honest,
no end of good.
I've always thought of myself as a Blur guy.
Right.
Alban's talent, funny lyrics, think Charmless Man, Country House, whatever, were completely different league to Oasis's. When this album came out, many contemporary reviewers, and I'm reading from something that I stole from the internet, and many contemporary reviewers expressed disappointment at the album's perceived inferiority to Definitely Maybe, taking aim at the banal lyrics and the unoriginal nature of the compositions. So that was where I was coming from in terms of my viewpoint.
Where I was coming from was I wasn't into this type of music at the time. However, would I go and see Oasis would have ever gone to see Oasis. I don't think so. However, I've always respected them for being a fantastic British rock and roll band.
Yep.
I've never subscribed to the fact that they copied the Beatles, because I think they were actually influenced by, yes, okay, maybe a bit of Lennon McCartney, the Kinks, the Rolling Stones, the Who. This is a bunch of guys who grew up with Slade, the Jam. They were as influenced by the Stone Roses and In Spiral Carpets as much as they were the Kinks and the Who, and obviously they loved the work of Lennon and McCartney. I've heard many people say they're a Beatles tribute band. I've never subscribed to that. I think they're a fantastic standalone band in their own right. I would never turn an Oasis song off when it came on the radio. However, I'm not a huge fan. I think the only album I have of theirs, and I'm going to hear boos from the background, is What's the Story, Morning Glory on CD. Or I've got the one with All My People Right Here, Right Now. Whatever that album is, I have that one too, because I thought it was a great track. I think I've always respected them, and I've always respected Blur, so I was in a really great position. I didn't have to choose sides. I just waited for the next brilliant release. And
So how has this week been?
an absolute joy. An absolute joy for me. It's been a massive thumbs up. They are, for me, a defining rock and roll. Without Oasis, the 20th century British rock and roll output would have been sadly bereft. They are fantastic. They are great at what they do. They're extremely entertaining, and they appeal to, I like the fact that on this album, your granny can tap her foot to, what's that Wonderwall one, son? I like that. And then the boys can get right into it with, some might say. I don't remember a time in my life where I haven't had my arms around a bunch of guys or a bunch of people in a bar singing a song from this album at way too late in the morning. For me, this is a joy. This is a fantastic collection of music. Pretty epic for me. How's it been for you?
Well, has it inspired me to write a sonnet or two? No. However, I have really enjoyed this week. I have really enjoyed this album.
Oh my God!
Yeah, it's one of, you're right, one of the defining albums of that era, and I've loved every moment of it. And I've worked out why. So we've done our normal getting under the skin of things, and I've worked out exactly why I have hated this band for so long. And it's not Oasis that I've hated.
Right. It's Liam Gallagher.
It's Liam Gallagher that I've hated. So from Wikipedia, Noel Gallagher, born 29th of May 1967, an English singer, songwriter and musician. He was the chief songwriter, lead guitarist and co-lead vocalist on the rock band Oasis until they split in 2009. After leaving Oasis, he formed Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds. He is one of the most successful songwriters in British music history, as the writer of 8 UK #1 singles and co-writer of a further 1 #1, and the sole primary writer of 10 UK #1 studio albums. He is widely considered one of the most influential songwriters in the history of British rock music, cited by numerous major subsequent artists as an influence. Mm-hmm. Liam Gallagher sings.
I don't think that. Yeah, okay. All right.
Poorly.
But the as his own brother said recently on an interview, there was an interview with Noel Gallagher, and the guy said, "Look, I've got to ask you. I'm so sorry, but I've got to ask you." And there was a kind of respect between the two of them. He said, "Do you think you'll ever get back together?" And he said, "If we get back together, it's going to be a circus. It's going to be an absolute circus. It's going to be a joke, and it's going to be like just up and down." And he said, "The bottom line is, I make more money now from Oasis than I ever did. So does he. And our careers have gone off in different trajectories. What I do with the High Flying Birds is very successful." And he said, "You've got to remember, Liam is the headline act at Nebworth. All right, he's just a singer, but he's also a songwriter, and he's got a very loyal following of people that love that."
He has, but also remember that after the performance of Wonderwall at the Olympics closing ceremony, Noel said he referred to Liam's band BDI as Stratford's finest Oasis tribute band.
Yeah. It's very difficult to listen to Liam's new stuff and not think that's just like an Oasis record. He's got a formula. He knows what he loves. He was being interviewed a couple of months back. I was watching it, and he said the producer said we should put saxophones on and trumpets, and I said, It's tilt guitars, lead guitar, rhythm guitar, bass guitar, drums. Now shut up and produce. We're not putting stuff on it. He still stands the same way as he stood back in their first single, performing on Top of the Pops, with his leg cocked out, his hands behind his back, and his head up singing in. His reasoning for that was, I've got a formula. No one can ever back and go, look at that idiot jumping about on the stage. It's what I do. And lots of people appreciate it. I mean,
Did you see this comment from Russell?
the power of, what was that? The power of social happened last week after last Friday's show. I bought tickets for Muse in Glasgow next year. Oh my goodness, Russell.
Isn't that fantastic?
Crikey. I didn't know they were in Glasgow next year. I'm going to try and get tickets. That's terrific news. So, back to the matter at hand. What's the Story Morning Glory is the second album by Oasis, released on the 2nd of October 1995 on Creation Records. This is a little bit of a humble brag, this year got to interview the founder and owner of Creation Records. I got a call from Kenny Dooley. The journalist from Glasgow's pulled out, will you come and interview and do a Q&A with Alan McGee? The guy, brackets, the guy that signed Oasis in King Tut's Wawa Hut that night. Because there was, and I'll tell you this is awesome, right? I've got to share this with you.
Yeah, go for it.
He said, so we had loads of fans in, Oasis fans, Primal Scream fans, there was all sorts of fans there, right, from different bands. And we took questions, some of them I had written down, you know, we've got Jerry from Stonehaven who's got a question for you, Alan. Hi Jerry, you know when that producer you used for that Primal Scream up? And it was brilliant. And then someone stood up and said, how much money did you make from Oasis, Alan? And he said, okay, fair question, I'm quite an honest guy. I'll let you do the maths. We sold CDs for 11 quid. By the time we'd paid all the bills, we were left with £6.50. I took 20%. The band got the rest. We sold 25 million albums.
Nice. Cha-ching.
A ka-ching, everybody went. There was actually a, ooh.
I bet there was.
We sold 25 million albums. And someone said, that night at King Tut's, when these scallies from Manchester arrived and said, we're supposed to be playing tonight. And the guy said, you're not on the list. And he said there was a big argument in the office. And I said to the owner of King Tut's, this is Alan speaking, just let them play. Let them play 2 songs. They'll be happy. And he said, someone said, was it the 2 songs that you realised you should sign Oasis? Because they were unsigned at that time. And he said, no, this is going to sound really unusual. Nobody will get this. It was the way Liam walked across the floor to get to the mic. And think about that. 25 million albums sold just because the swagger this guy had. He thought, oh, there's something here. And then they played and he's like, they're all right. They're okay. We can do something with this. And they went on to create the wonderful thing that is Oasis. He showed confidence in them. Fantastic. So it was produced by Owen Morris and the group's guitarist, Noel Gallagher, guitarist, singer, songwriter. They got a bit of a pounding because the structure and arrangement was very different to Definitely Maybe in 1994, a year before. Gallagher's compositions were more focused on balladry and emphasis on huge choruses. He said that he wanted to hear these songs sung and chanted on the terraces, and I think he got that dream come true. The album yielded 4 major hit singles. Some might say Don't Look Back in Anger, Roll With It, and Wonderwall. Wonderwall peaked at number 2 and later spent a lengthy 30 consecutive weeks in the charts. They cracked America with this album. They got onto the Billboard. They were actually looked upon as being an alternative band. When actually over here, there's nothing alternative. They're not in that sort of gothy circles at all. At the 1996 Brit Awards, the album won Best British Album. Over several months in 95 and 96, the band supported the album with an extensive world tour. Question to the audience, because I was speaking to the very good Colin Ballantyne about this today. Was anyone at Loch Lomond? There's a question. Yeah, it's massive, right? They produced it they recorded it at Rockfield Studios in Wales with Owen Morris and Noel Gallagher. This album's actually quite unusual technically. This album exploited the rules on loudness and started a loudness war. Do you know about this?
No.
A piece of tech had come out that producers hadn't really got their head round, and Owen Morris said, I'm going to use it. And it was called brick wall mastering. It involved using a bit of tech which exploited the rules on the loudness of CDs. When this came out, it was -8 dBFS. Most albums that were coming out were exactly on zero. It was that much louder and caused major controversy because people were saying you're breaking all the rules on broadcasting and all of that. And they said, shut up, because it was done digitally. It's okay. It's a loophole. So actually, if you play this album compared to another album that was out in the same year, this album's much more bristly, much more vibrant and louder. And it started court cases to get albums to become less loud. So it was a kind of it was groundbreaking and controversial for many reasons.
Wow.
There you go. We don't just play music on the show. It's like education.
No, it is. It's like being back in school again.
Shall we crack on, or have we got any more facts?
No, not at all. Let's go straight in there with hello.
Straight in there with the hello. We get a wee bit of Wonderwall at the start, which is quite confusing, but it's lovely all the same.
It says in the blurb about this, Wonderwall playing extremely quietly. This stops once the guitar noise comes in.
Guitar noise.
Exactly, the guitar noise.
I like it. So this song's about a girl that, as time passes, she doesn't really care about the singer. Doesn't really care about her anymore. He said it was written towards the end of the Definitely Maybe sessions, and he said, I looked at Liam and said, everything's changed now. So when they say, unfortunately, they use some lyrics from a Gary Glitter song. Unfortunate choice, but they never knew that. And this is Hello. How many of you are mouthing the lyrics at home? How do you know you've got goosebumps, Colin? You've got no recollection of any of these concerts. I'll just flip to the end when So that's a pretty chunky sort of opener.
Yeah, it's a big opening, isn't it?
A huge big opening. They started singing "Hello, hello, it's good to be back" as a bit of a joke, and then they said as the track progressed, we just couldn't get rid of it, so it's stuck. So a pretty great opening. It puts a marker down. We're here. We're about rock and roll. We're in your face, and then they hit us with a song that stopped me in my tracks when I heard it. To be quite honest,
this is outstanding, isn't it? I love it. In an interview with Select magazine, Noel Gallagher said, "It's just a typical Oasis thing. Shut up moaning and you can get on with it." Same sentiments that nearly every song we do have.
Yeah, absolutely. This song was released as a single on August the 14th, 1995, the same week as Country House, the British,
which is absolutely outstanding
topper, an absolute topper. The British media had already reported.
Interestingly, in Country House, obviously one of the lyrics is "He's got morning glory, but life's a different story." Of the album, glory.
Almost like this was all constructed and designed, right?
Yeah, almost, isn't it?
Yeah. So it was called the Battle of Britpop, though Blur initially appeared to be victorious with Country House, reached number one. placed above Roll With It. Oasis's album, What's the Story, Morning Glory, later proved a much bigger success than that album of the time from Blur, The Great Escape. So this was the first drummer they recorded with their new, first track they recorded with their new drummer, Alan White. This is Roll With It. Oh, brilliant. So this is the first album with their new drummer, and interestingly, the track we're listening to was the first take of Roll With It.
Right.
And Noel said, we don't need to mess with this anymore. Good job, everyone. We're going with that.
Yeah, it's another great song, isn't it? And that song, I think, more than anything else on this album, transports me back to being this age. You know, although I was not an avid Oasis listener, it was again one of those things, like so many albums that we've looked at, where it didn't matter whether you were or not, you were not going to get away from hearing this, were you?
I know, absolutely not. The third track is epic, absolutely epic. Some media outlets reported that it was about Meg Matthews and his relationship with Meg. Later on, he said the meaning of that song was taken away by the media, who jumped on the fact that it was about my missus. It's about an imaginary friend who's going to come and save you from yourself. And I don't remember a time in this period where you went in anywhere and didn't hear these opening guitar chords. Yep.
I was just going to say, so the concept of Wonderwall, and this is really interesting, is based on the 60s film called Wonderwall, from psychedelia to surrealism, starring Jane Birkin. She lives next door to a man who becomes fascinated with her. He slowly makes holes in the wall so he can watch her through it. That is wonderful. Wonderwall. Warning, this movie is supposedly terrible. Great intro. The thing that is best about this intro is when the cello, and then the drums come in that next phase. Backbeat.
When he says backbeat, the word is on a da-da-ba. I mean, you could have just did that straight. You could have come in at the beginning of that verse, but there's that little delay. I mean, for me, that little drum thing is perfect, and the cello as well. Yeah. Bringing in strings is cool. Gives it a real mark of quality, and this is epic.
Today is gonna be the day that they're gonna throw it back to you. By now you should have somehow realized what you gotta do. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. backbeat. The word is on the street that the fire in your heart is out. I'm sure you've heard it all before, but you never really had a doubt. I don't believe that anybody feels the way I do about you now. And all the roads we have to walk are winding, and all the lights that lead us there are blinding. There are many things that I would like to say to you, but I don't know how. Because maybe you're gonna be the one that saves me. And after all, you're my
Initially, Noel was going to sing this, but they had a bit of a fight, and he said, "Okay, you do this one, and I'll do Don't Look Back in Anger." Then,
yeah, and are we still on this song, or are we moving on to the next one now?
So on this one, that's yours. It's your show. You're the boss.
No, not at all. Yeah, so that is a really interesting thing, isn't it? Where it was those two songs, and they were both kind of wanting to do those songs, and interesting that Liam took this song, because I don't think that suits his voice at all, because his voice is
when he's hanging on to long notes,
flat.
Yeah.
And his voice is just his fingers on a fingernails on a blackboard to me. It's just
really
nasally, a little bit flat. It just
can be a little bit whiny. I think in the verse section he's perfect, but when he's holding on to a note, it can be a bit, because he doesn't do any vibrato, he doesn't do any vocal tricks. You get the note until it's finished.
Doesn't or can't?
Probably can't, because he's like a lot of famous, wealthy, fantastic bands in the world that don't have great singers. Bono is not a great singer. He makes a great noise. Liam Gallagher makes a great noise, and it's perfect.
He makes a noise.
He makes a noise. I know you're not going to be swung on Liam Gallagher as a good singer, but he makes a noise.
And going on to the next song, Don't Look Back in Anger. So I put on the notes here, my question would be, Liam Gallagher, what is the point? Because Noel is so much better a singer.
Yeah, but it's what Alan McGee said. It's the swagger. It's Oasis was more than just a studio album.
It's a face you'd never tire of punching, isn't it?
For some people love him. Some people love this boy. Absolutely love him. Noel wrote the line, "Stand up beside the fireplace, take that look from off your face," because when he was a kid, his mother used to make him stand next to the fireplace and have photos taken, and he always looked grumpy in the photos. She told him to take that look off your face.
But then the next line, "You ain't ever gonna burn my heart out." It's like, what are you talking about?
What do you mean?
It's just like,
let's not get into lyrics. Let's not open the lyrical can of worms. Or we'll start quoting "I Am the Walrus."
Yeah.
Cuckoo. So this was massive. This song, absolutely massive. He borrowed the line. He told Daniel Rachel, The Art of Noise, in an interview, that he borrowed the line, "The brains I had went to my head from Lennon's tape recorded notes from a memoir he was planning to write before his death." I remember this song being everywhere. Every single place I went, this song was playing. And
it is such a great opening lyrics. Slip inside the eye of your mind. Do you know you might find a better place to play? Really, really good first verse, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. The song was written exactly 40 years on from when a play called Look Back in Anger by John Osborne was produced in London's West End. The main character, called Jimmy Porter, captured the angry and rebellious nature of his generation. Perhaps a bit of a counterplay there in what Oasis were doing in popular culture.
better place to play. You said that you'd never been, but all the things that you've seen slowly fade away. So I start a revolution from my bed, 'cause you said the brains I had went to my head. Step outside, summertime's in bloom. I stand up beside the fireplace, take that look from off your face. You ain't ever gonna burn my heart out. And so Sally can wait. She knows it's too late as we're walking on by. Her soul slides away, but don't look back in anger. I heard you say.
Really great story. When he was, we were in Paris playing along with the Verve, and I had the chords for a song and started writing it. We were due to play 2 days later. The first ever big arena gig. At the sound check, I was strumming away an acoustic guitar, and our kid, would you be kind enough to our kid?
Our kid.
Thank you. Liam said, "What's that you're singing?" I wasn't singing anyway. I was just making it up. And our kid said, "Are you singing So Sally Can Wait?" And I was like, "That's genius." So I started singing So Sally Can Wait. I can remember going back to the dressing room and writing it out. Noel continued. It all came together really quickly after that. Don't Look Back in Anger just popped out. We wrote the words out in the dressing room, and we actually played it that night in front of 18,000 people on acoustic guitar, sat on a stool like an idiot. I never do that now.
I mean, just
That is actually quite something, isn't it? You know, you and I are having a bit of a jam, and then we go back to the dressing room. We write it out. We go up on stage later that day and perform it in front of 18,000 people. You got to hand it to them.
You have got to hand it to them. Absolutely incredible. Closing scene of Our Friends in the North, truly memorable. And this particular song became an anthem of solidarity after the Manchester terrorist attack. 3 days after the suicide bomber killed 22 people at the Manchester Arena, people gathered in the city centre and started singing this, which gives you a bit of a goosebumps. The next track is track 5. It's Hey Now, and Noel Gallagher explained to Select Magazine, this is about looking back and realising that it's been
not in anger.
Not in anger. We spoke to each other and said there's been a lot of trauma to get here. It's been hard work, and it's not as big as a laugh as we thought it would be. This is getting a bit serious now. This is Hey Now. Voice is brilliant here.
I think on this song it is brilliant.
Yeah, it's
right.
terrific. It fits.
It does.
You're standing ignoring me. I thought that I heard someone say now, there's no time for running away now. Hey now. Feel no shame. 'Cause time's no change. Feel no shame.
I think what's interesting is that this is the first time that he has written the pacing of the lyrics in that manner.
Yeah.
So that they're almost contra to the beat and the melody of the song. And he hasn't used that technique before in this album, has he? And did any of his stuff.
I know, absolutely. So that's Hey Now, which sounds very like Oasis, right? Such an Oasis song. The next song's a little interlude. They were having a bit of a mess about. They had Paul Weller in the studio doing his little bit on Champagne Supernova, and they had a little bit of a jam. And this was their little jam, just to get warmed up, to get their fingers moving. He said, we called it the jam. It was called the jam because Paul Weller helped us play on it, and we thought it was quite funny that Paul Weller plays the jam. And once Paul Weller left, they chopped it up. They made it into 2 little interludes for the album. This is the first one, just a little bit of a musical. It splits the album right in the middle, and this is Swamp Song, version 1. Testament to what they did with this album, that even when you hear that little start there, you expect Liam Gallagher to sing.
Yeah,
it's so Oasis. You expect the walk on. Is that the walk on music? I had another question for those that have seen them live on Don't Look Back in Anger. What does Liam do when Noel's singing? Does he stay on and get the old tambourine going, or does he walk off in indignance?
Yeah, he probably walks off looking miserable because he's a spoilt little brat, isn't he?
So yeah, I'm interested because I've never seen them live. What happens when Don't Look Back in Anger's happening? Does Liam hang about and do something, or does he nip out the back and have a smoke? Whatever he might do,
or nick a couple of cars, maybe.
Oh no! He goes and sulks.
Yeah, that I do believe.
So the next one.
Yeah, their first UK number 1, wasn't it?
First UK number 1. Big song for them. Big song around the time. I remember it being turned into football chants. Alan McGee wanted to release the single as a double A-side with Acquiesce. However, Noel disagreed with him and stood firm. So despite becoming a concert... I find it
difficult to believe that the Gallagher brothers would understand the word acquiesce myself.
Oh, come on. Noel does.
Noel does, yeah.
Noel does, yeah, absolutely.
Acqui what?
Acqui what? Noel explained it to Liam later.
Okay.
The producer Owen Morris recalled the recording of this song. We demoed, some might say, in Maison Rouge in France 6 months or so before. The version we did there was slow and heavy and dark, really quite cool in a kind of Rolling Stones way. Then we turned up in the local studios in Wales and spent the day doing a lot of good versions faster than the demo. I edited all the bits together in the backing track, and then Noel wakes the band in the middle of the night and insists they get out of bed and re-record it like his remix. They did it in 1 take.
So, interesting. This is the last track, isn't it, to feature Tony McCarroll, the drummer from the early days. And it says in my notes, when tensions arose between the percussionist and the Gallagher brothers, he was asked to leave the band.
Yeah.
I can imagine that there were some tensions.
No, allegedly it went like this. Hold on, I've got it. I say, old chap, we seem to have some musical differences. Be a good chap and leave, will you? That's how it went.
I bet it did.
That's how it went. That's how
the negotiations went. There's no twatting people with chairs or anything going on.
No, nothing like that. This is high and mighty. This is powerful. This is, some might say,
very status quo. The intro.
Very status quo. Yeah.
should never ponder on our thoughts today, 'cause they hold sway over time. Some might say we will find a brighter day. Some might say we will find a brighter day. Yeah, 'cause I've been standing at the station in need of education in the rain. You made no preparation for my reputation once again. The sink is full of dishes. She's got many dishes on the brain. It was overflowing gently, but it's all elementary, my friend.
Alan McGee didn't think it sounded like a number one. Noel Gallagher said he's a great man, but he has no idea how to pick a single.
And he was right.
And he was right.
The way that it's not as polished as normally you would expect of a studio album is actually part of the charm of this song, isn't it?
Yeah, it's rougher. Yeah, absolutely. It's a bit more spiky, a bit more prickly.
Yeah, absolutely fantastic.
Yeah, superb. A really quick one. I was watching an interview with Josh Homme recently, a big hero of mine, and him and guitarist from Queens of the Stone Age are sitting there, and the interviewer was having a bit of fun and put up flashcards with words on them and just got them to say the first thing that came to their mind. And they were doing this, and it was like food, and there was like, they said their thing, alcohol, and he's like tequila and whatever. And the next one was Liam Gallagher, and he said, "I'm going to stop this for a little while. I need to tell you a story," in his very Las Vegas accent. And he said, I was at a party once in LA, and I walked into the party, got a drink, and we were doing our thing, and I noticed there was this really loud guy in the corner, and I realised it was the guy from Oasis, the singer. And he said, and he came over to us, and he went, all right, you're that Queens of the Stone Age, aren't you? And he said, yeah, I'm Josh. Good to meet you, man. Good to meet you. How's things? And he goes, listen, we should collaborate. We should do like a collaboration because we're the biggest band in the world, and you guys are all right. Josh went, yeah, we should definitely do that. We're the biggest band in the world, and you guys are all right too.
Yeah, that everything just has that swagger, doesn't it?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it was part of
as I said, a face you'd never tire of punching.
Cast No Shadow, track number 7. Noel Gallagher wrote this about Richard Ashcroft from The Verve.
He always seemed to me to be not happy about what was going on around him, almost trying too hard. That's why it goes, he was bound with the weight of all the words he tried to say.
Yeah, Richard is a deep character, and Noel wrote this about his friend. So this is Cast No Shadow.
So the words go. I played him the song and he nearly started crying. Gallagher's talking about when he played this to Richard Ashcroft. I was like, come on, hold yourself together, son. Easy now.
Easy now. Come on, man up. It's just a song. I can actually hear Richard Ashcroft singing this.
As they took his soul, they stole his pride. As he faced the sun, he cast no shadow.
Ashcroft had befriended Noel's brother Liam, which triggered the comment. Liam triggered a bit of a Twitter fight, and Liam defended Ashcroft on Twitter by telling his brother that Richard Ashcroft pees all over you.
Indeed. But Ashcroft also was accused by Gallagher, Noel Gallagher, listed him as one of the stars that use an army of songwriters.
Ah, really?
Ooh, apparently,
interesting.
well, that's what he says.
Very, very good. Okay, track number 9 is a big one. It's about a boy who's got a girlfriend, and he used to go out with her sister, and he fancies her mother, doesn't get on with her brother.
Oh, that same old story that we've all been there.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, no, we haven't. Only if you live in that particular area.
Yeah, absolutely. Then went out with their cousin and got her pregnant. Everybody thinks it was him, but it wasn't. This is She's Electric.
Before you put it on, so I think this is a great song. Gallagher borrowed the chorus melody from what?
I think it's a George Harrison track.
Nope.
It's
a 1970s UK preschool program called You and Me. You and me, me and you.
Of course. Yeah, absolutely. Of course he did. Yeah, and I read that. I didn't put that in the notes, but that's I did see that.
Yeah.
Yeah, fantastic.
And it can never be unheard now.
It can never be unheard.
So you'll be singing that with it now.
1970s UK preschool program. I love the story in here. I think the lyrics are hilarious. What rhymes with sister? Blister.
Oh yeah, Blister.
She's electric. She's in a family full of eccentrics. She's done things I've never
Say that
expected.
again. Now that's the first time we've heard him do something smart with how he's delivered the lyrics. So that she's in a family full of eccentrics. Just play that again. That second line.
Electric. She's in a family full of eccentrics. She's done things I've never.
A little flick on there too.
Yeah, not what you would expect of him.
No.
She's got a sister, and God only knows how I've missed her. And on the palm of her hand is a blister. And I need.
I've just got it.
And I want you to know I got my mind made up now, but I need more time. And I want you to say, do you know what I'm saying? But I need more, 'cause I'll be you and you'll be me. There's lots and lots for us to see, lots and lots for us to do. She's electric, can I be electric too?
For a change.
Well, he actually said, I'm getting a lot of grief about the Beatles. He said, but if anything, I was more influenced by the Faces when I was writing this album. And you can kind of hear a bit of that.
That is an exceptional song, though, isn't it?
It's, this one?
Yeah, absolutely brilliant.
For me, this is pure, a nod of the forelock to the Kinks.
Yeah, I think that this is one of those songs that it was one of those albums that sums up the period. You know, this was when Britain was great.
Yeah.
And I don't mean that in a kind of looking back in some poignant, sad sort of way. But, you know, we had Britpop. We had bands that were at the top of the game. We had Brit art, Emin and Hurst and all of those people that were redefining art. We had the run up to the Olympic Games. We had all of the pitching for the Olympic Games. We had all of that kind of great nationalistic pride in the country, but not in a negative, racist, closed-minded nationalism. We were a global superpower.
Mm-hmm.
So where's it all gone wrong?
Are you saying things have changed?
No, I'm not saying that at all. Oh, yeah, sorry. You can exchange the word superpower for laughing stock, can't you?
Yeah. And in some degree, there is a brightness and a sparkliness to this. Just brimming with confidence, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly what it is.
Yeah, a celebration. The next song's about someone who's addicted to cocaine or methamphetamines and how you really don't have a chance of having a good future when you're addicted. The basic point of the song is that users need to wake up and realise they're ruining their lives. Gallagher said, all your dreams are made when you're chained to the mirror and the razor blade. Mirrors and razor blades are clearly used for chopping up cocaine and snorting and all that sort of stuff. He said the song was originally titled Blue. The lyrics were originally along the line of, and he says, I've still got them scored out. I live my life in blue. There's nothing anyone can do, which Noel describes to be effing awful.
I live my life in blue. There's nothing anyone can do. It's all a load of poo. It's just, it all rhymes, doesn't it?
Let's go out in the sunshine.
I thought sound-wise, this was quite REM-like.
Oh, come on. It's Orange Crush.
Yeah,
it's Orange Crush. It's absolutely got my spine, I've got my orange. You can actually sing Orange Crush along with it.
Yeah, I will give that a try in a moment. Although there is Tomorrow Never Knows What It Doesn't Know Too Soon. It's a tribute to the Beatles song, Tomorrow Never Knows.
Tomorrow Never Knows. Beautiful. This is a belter. I've got my orange crush.
All your dreams are made when you chain to the mirror and the razor blade. Today's the day that all the world will see. Another sunny afternoon, walking to the sound of my favorite tune. Tomorrow never knows what it doesn't know too soon. Need a little time to wake up. Need a little time to wake up, wake up. Need a little time to wake up. Need a little time to rest your mind. You know you should, so I guess you might as well. What's the story, morning glory? Well, need a little time to wake up, wake up. Well, what's the story, morning glory? Well, need a little time to wake up, wake up.
I imagine at the concerts, it's probably quite dangerous to be down the front for this one. I imagine this gets the crowd going. We did a poll recently, Eric.
We did, and you chose. What did everyone choose? Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Dark Side of the Moon.
Well, we'd love suggestions. If you want to post a suggestion, we'll put it in
But
the
not
bank.
Breaking Glass, Suzanne. Not Breaking Glass.
Oh, we've got to do Breaking Glass.
All right, we'll do Breaking Glass, but not yet.
To the mirror and the razor blade. Today's the day that all the world will see.
love to be on stage playing the bass to this. I'd love to be on stage. I don't want to play the guitar. I would love to play the bass to this.
Knows what he doesn't know too soon. Need a little time to wake up.
Worth bearing in mind that lots of the chord changes there are pure Roxette, another band that I love, incidentally.
Pure Roxette. I actually think the verse, and I'll just put that back a little bit. If you put a completely different slant on this song and made it a bit made the singer a bit like that. I think he loved Johnny Marr. Noel Gallagher loved Johnny Marr. I think there's Johnny Marr Smith's style music in here.
Well, they're good mates, aren't they? Apparently.
Yeah, absolutely, big time. So I could hear this being a Smith song. But Oasis do it so well. Why would we change it? Fantastic. An absolute just fire everything.
I'm loving this, mate. Absolutely loving this. And who thought I would be? I'll be buying a dog next.
You are a changed man. If we go back and look at episode 1 of this, you were like, there are only 5 albums worth listening to in the world.
Yes.
And they were all made in the 1980s.
Yes. War of the Worlds is one of them.
War of the Worlds, yeah. There's Rumours, Prince, and that's it. We get the track 11. We get the second of the little filler. Yeah, I think we should. It's just a little jam session. We'll cut to the chase to a song that I think is a standout, an absolute standout here.
Very good. Paul Weller played on this.
Paul Weller played on it, yep.
Noel Gallagher got the title when he misheard the name of the Pixies album, Bossa Nova, whilst he was watching a documentary about champagne at the time, apparently. So the story goes. He got a lot of flack for the lyrics. The bit about slowly walking down a hall faster than a cannonball. Slowly walking down a hall faster than a cannonball. What does that mean? He said, I don't effing know. But you tell me, when you got 60,000 people singing it, they don't know what it means. It means something different to every one of them.
I put this question to one of my learned colleagues who was into some recreational substances back in the day, and they're like, if you're walking down a hall and you think you're going slowly, but you're actually walking quickly, then you're just at the right level. You're just at the right level. This is the supremely brilliant Champagne Supernova.
Special people change. How many lives are living strange? Where were you while we were getting high? Slowly walking down the hall, faster than a cannonball.
And that's from a Blur fan.
Where were you while we were getting high? Someday you will find me caught beneath the landslide in a champagne supernova in the sky. Someday you will find me caught beneath the landslide in a champagne supernova, a champagne supernova in the sky. Up the dawn and ask her why. A dream, she never dies. Wipe that tear away now from your eye. Slowly walking down the hall,
Prince, that guitar lick.
It doesn't remind me of Prince. I'm just trying to work out who it does, because it sounds just like, it's kind of like a Beach Boys type. It isn't the Beach Boys, but it's somebody like that.
Yeah. Because they're a wee bit over time, but that was I was lucky enough to see Oasis play at small venues and then several time in arenas at Nebworth. Fantastic. This has been a joy.
It has been brilliant. I've so loved this show. So loved this week of doing this stuff, and we got a couple of weeks off, haven't we? Because you're
got a couple of weeks off because I'm
working, doing proper work for a change.
We're doing proper work, so we're going to take a couple of weeks off, and that's fine. Take a couple of weeks break, and we'll come back. So I haven't got an album to suggest for now. Let's think about it while we're off. Maybe go out and canvass some opinion. Send us your suggestions.
Yeah.
That would be lovely. We've loved doing this. I mean, this is ridiculous that we get away with this, because this was just us arguing on Slack about this bass line's better. No, this bass line's better.
Yeah, and we've done 48 of these now.
48 shows. 48 shows.
Incredible.
Quite incredible. Yeah, I'm chuffed to bits that you enjoyed it too. We'll come back with another album. It's not all about massive albums. It's just about something we should review and something we should check out. I was going to suggest... Oh, carry on.
No, go on. Sorry.
No, go on. You go for it.
Yeah, well said, Andrew. All the best with your TED Talk, Eric.
Thank you.
I was going to say it's been a real education, hasn't it? You know, discovering things like this, which have been a joy for me, or rediscovering things like this. But also, it's been terribly sad in some cases. You know, those albums that we've loved so much that have been a dreadful disappointment.
Yeah, absolutely. So the ups and the downs of music, and that's what it's all about.
Thank you, Steve.
Well, that's lovely. Thank you very much. So we'll be back in a couple of weeks' time. I think our next show will probably be. Let's just look at the calendar quickly. Our next show will probably be, and if Adam, if you want to crack on. If you want to crack on in the meantime and do a couple,
mate, it wouldn't be the same without you, would it?
Low rent reprobate standing. Hi, I'm Adam Gray. This is my new show. This album.
This album, and it's I shall specialise in doing rock operas for the
rock operas week. With my new friend Fred. Right, brilliant.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you, everybody. Great show. Have a lovely weekend, everyone. And we'll see you again soon.